All right, so next we're up to chord theory. So theory, it's just names. That's all theory is, right? Music theory is just about what you call something. So in this instance, we're specifically talking about the main chords that we've done so far, C, A, G, E, and D. When I was talking about the scale degrees, so like do, re, mi, fa, sol, mi, so, do, right? Well, so there are other scale degrees, right? I can do do, re, and there's that 9. What we're talking about there is that we're changing notes in the chord from what it would normally, just like when we made an A minor, right? We're altering that chord to make it sound different. Well, with this idea is that we're actually gonna add notes or change them. So the first thing we do is C. C minor is pretty awful. I go pinky, pointer, skip, and then pointer. And you can't play either of the open strings. Not a very fun functional chord. A versus A minor, that's great. G versus G minor. You kind of have to either bar there. It's awful, not a usable chord, but it's just visual, right? Same E, so we got E minor, great one, and D minor. Those changes make sense. So as we continue through though, we start looking at the scales. So we've got C, there's that scale we learned, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right, so first thing we talk about is a 7, a major 7. So all this comes from, we talk about a major chord with a 7 from the major scale. So back in the day, they used to call it a major 7, right? So C major chord with a major 7. Right? So that's where you get that pretty jazz sound. That's a C major 7. And I could have done it there, or I could have put it right next to it. I could have do there, you know, which is a chord, sounds bad, but like picking sounds beautiful. So that same 7, if I lower it, that's a flat 7, just like the chords that we're doing, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, te. That B flat. Well, so that B flat now, it's a borrowed note, but so that would normally be called a C major minor 7. That's a lot to say. So this has been shortened to major 7, just C7, and it makes it just a little bit easier to say. So all right, so now let's kind of keep going. So a suspension. Well, the idea here is that we're getting rid of the third. Okay, so the do, re, mi, right? That's what makes it major, or do, re, mi, right? The minor. Well, if we go to the 4th scale grade, do, re, mi, fa, right? And this one, I have 2 E's, so I have to get rid of both of them. So I'm kind of barring my pointer finger there, and then I've got my ring and pinky. Sus2, right? So that's the opposite of going up. I can go below. And in this case, I can't go below an open string, so I'm just gonna put that 5th, that pointer finger, or that pinky down on the C. So the 3rd here is my middle, so I can do open. That's like a big kind of sound, like a country thing. All right, so let's move on. We've got adds. C add something. So what they're saying there is that we're taking a chord and we're adding an additional tone from the scale. So rather than supplementing something, like with a suspension, you're replacing something. So with this, a C add 9, I had 2/3, so I got rid of one of them. So now I have a 2 and a 3rd, or I could have done it, or this one from the can do C6. So 6, I should preface, when we get to 9, 9 has to do with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 8, 9, and 10, 11, 12, 13. So when you start getting like 11s and 13s, 11 is 4, 13 is 6, and 9 is 2. It's basically, they're implying that you have other things going on below that, but that's a little further advanced in chord theory than we're going to get today. But as far as when you see things, if it goes above 8, just imagine that 8 is 1 again. And that's how you count up. C6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? All right, so then let's just keep going. So now we're moving on to the A chord. Okay, so I have A, which is root 5th, root 3rd, 5th. So same thing, I'm going to get rid of one of those roots to make a major 7. And then I can go one further down, go take that open to make a 7. And we could have done the same thing. Anytime you have a 7, you can find it by getting rid of a root or a 5th. So I have a 5th on top. 5, 6, 7. So there I have to bar my pointer finger across. It's a major 7. And then if I go 2, 2, 3, it's A7. All this is written in the book. So then talking about A sus, once again, we've got a 3rd. You can kick that ring finger out. That's your sus4, or open string. It's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. There's your sus2. So like a. Right, you can do little melodies just between going around the 3rd. Another way to do an add there, I've got this. The way I have this written is kind of, you have to kind of basically go pointer, middle, and then my pinky's going to reach out to that B. Very pretty chord, not very easy to play, but that's an add 9 because I have a 3rd too. That's why it's added. We're in A6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm adding that, not just the A, but straight down. Or I could have done it. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Moving on. G. Got G versus. We've got G major 7. G 7. Could have done that major 7. Different ways of fingering that. Sort of trying to mute. Oh, I see what I did there. I said middle pointer, the pinky, the ring is all the way bottom. So that's a hard one. Not very pretty either, is it? But this one, simpler. You know, so the logic here is that you find as many ways to do it to decide. You know, you might find that is beautiful. Like, I want to use that chord, you know, just maybe not hit that little chord on that G on top. Anyway, let's keep going. G7 becomes, you can do that one, or this is the more common G7. G sus. So what I did here is I took the key of C G, but I'm gonna just not use my middle. It's just ring and pinky. So that's muted. So then I can just put my pointer finger down. There's your sus. All right, moving on, we've got a sus2, right? So I'm taking, once again, it's like that cowboy G, no pointer, muting the A string with my middle. So then I can put my pointer finger on it. Another way of doing that, the difference between, that's a sus2 because there's no 3rd, right? But then if I open up that B string, then there's your add 9. Or if I move it one string bigger, that's G6. So now I've got like, one finger change, these really elaborate chords. Do you need to know what every chord is and what it should be called? It's helpful if you're trying to talk to somebody that, like, once again, this is band stuff. Like, you've got another player, you're trying to communicate what you're playing. That helps. But at the same time, a lot of this is also just experimenting, you know? Putting your fingers in these weird positions to find new chords makes you invent things to you. And then all of a sudden you're writing a beautiful piece or a dark piece or whatever. So it's, you know, it's a tool for creating art. All right, E. These are a little strange. E major 7. Anytime that the notes that the root is on top of a major 7, it sounds awful. But the 7 is okay usually. Kind of a weird thing, just because it's a jarring sound. If you're flexible, reach that pinky up. E sus, not bad. Sus 4. It's now E add 9. Love this chord. Beautiful, tricky to play as well. This is another version of that. You just take your E chord and put your pinky on the little string. And you remember that I'm going quickly through these, but this is all just a supplement to the book. So if you're following along with the book, you can pause it and take your time with these. There's an E6 there, E6. Love that E6. But once again, not the easiest to play unless you're capoed up a little bit. D. So, you know, here, I didn't mess with this low D. You know, I could have done like a D major 7 that way. To me, that changes. If you change the bass of a chord, then all of a sudden we're getting into what we are going to cover later, which are inversions, and I don't want to mess with that. So this is D. This is my root, so I'm going to go D major 7, then D7, and I'm skipping ahead, but D6 is just could go like that. D sus. Now we've got D sus 2, and then another D6. So there's two different ways. I only wrote one. So there's D6, but also that would just be like a D7 with no pointer. All right, and as you continue to play with these shapes, see how they sound together. So, you know, like, for instance, an A major 7 to D major 7. It's a beautiful sound. You know, try them together, create little jazzy things, experiment, see what you come up with.